Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video, and today I will be doing another tutorial on how to learn to fly a quadcopter. Now this is my second version of this video. I made a similar video quite a long time ago, but you know, it wasn't too good. Since then I've learned a lot more, had a lot of upgrades in terms of quadcopters and camera and just everything and knowledge of videos. So I thought I'd make this one, hopefully make it a lot better for some of you beginners. To help you learn to fly. And now, first off, what you're gonna need to do is obviously you need to buy a quadcopter, obviously. And now there's some specific things that you want to look for when you're buying your first one if you don't have any other equipment or transmitters. And that is buying an RTF, which means ready to fly quadcopter. And those, such as all of these, come RTF. They come with the quad. Whoops, that was my battery charger going off. So RTF means it comes with the quadcopter, a remote that goes with it, a battery, a charger, and usually spare props and a manual. The only thing you need to supply usually is batteries for the transmitter, like AA or AAA. So you don't really want to buy a BNF, which is bind and fly, which means it doesn't come with the transmitter, because you're most likely not going to have one. So I'd say stick to RTF. And some other terms you're going to want to know is LVC, and that means low voltage cutoff warning. And that is some of these have, most of them have LED lights, as you can see there, and when they start blinking towards the end of the flight, that means your battery is getting low and you want to land because it's about to cut power. Some other things is mode 1 versus mode 2. And now this transmitter here, this is from the CX-31. This is a mode 2 transmitter, which means the throttle, the stick that has no spring in it, you see it stays wherever I want it, is on the left. And that gives you throttle, which controls the speed, the general speed of the motor, so altitude up and down, and also left and right movement, which controls the yaw, which means the spin of it. Like if you push left on the transmitter stick here, it'll spin to the left and right to the right. And then on the right stick for mode 2, you have forward and backwards. However, this one always centers. The stick centers. So if you push forward and backwards, according to the front on this one, the green props are the front. If you push forward on the stick, it'll go forward, and you pull back, it'll come backwards. Now I have a battery here, so I can show you how it does these things. So let's just plug this in here. And now on this one you can see it has quite a... Okay, here we are back again. I had a little mishap there, but I cut that out of the video. So here we have the quad, and as you can see there's red lights, and that means that's the rear, and the blue is the front. And since this one's symmetrical, it's kind of hard to tell. But for the demonstration here, so if you give on mode 2, which is how most people fly, up and down, as you can see, it raises all 4 motors RPM, which is the spinning speed of them at once, which will cause lift, as you can see there. And if you give left and right movement here with some throttle, you see how it only spins 2 of them? That's how it spins. It'll speed these 2 up to turn left, and it'll speed these 2 up to turn right, because this motor and this motor are spinning the same direction, and this motor are spinning the same direction. These ones spin clockwise, and these ones spin counterclockwise, so that's how it balances and moves. As you can see, the turn, and it starts to spin the other ones because then it just gives thrust with these, but it's spinning these faster for actual lift, as you can see there. And then to give forward pitch, which is the tilt, so if you want to tilt forward to say move forward, you have to give some throttle, and then you push forward on the stick here. I don't have enough throttle, but it's spinning the back motors faster. Doesn't have enough throttle. There we go. As you can see, it starts to tilt it, and then same thing with left and right movement. You can see it tilts it. So that's how it moves around in midair. And then say most of these have a flip function, which, as you can see up here, this key up here will do flips. To do that, it just basically, it'll just spin to whichever direction you do it. It'll just basically spin the opposite 2 motors faster, so it'll cause it to flip over, and then it'll just restabilize. Now all of these ones have they have 6-axis gyros, which means they can stabilize in the yaw and pitch, so it'll stay nice and stable for you. And now some of these, I forgot to mention what these ones are. And now this is the Cheerson CX-31, which is a good beginner one, I think, because the rates, and the rates mean the angle of pitch, just basically how fast or slow it is. The rates on this are fairly slow, so it'd be good for a beginner. And it has a nice large transmitter to use. And then here is the Sbego FQ777-124. And this one's really nice. This is a nano size. This is a micro. And now this is nice because you can store it inside the transmitter and also charge from the transmitter. So that'd be a nice for a beginner. And here is the Huiying Toys HY326, and this is really nice. It's just a really nice flyer overall, and it also comes with a big beefy prop guard. As you can see here, you just screw this on, and so that keeps it nice and protected against walls. And that is a micro. And here is something that most people will know, is the Cheerson CX-10. And now this is actually the CX-10C with the camera version. They just came out because my old CX-10s I have mutilated and used the parts for other things, but that's a very popular one. Now here's one I just got recently, which is the Q7 FY326, which is a SEMA X5C clone, which means it's the same design just by a different brand. However, it's really cheap. I think this thing is about like $23, and it's just so nice and stable. This thing is as stable as it gets, really, and it does have prop guards, and they're not too good, but you know, for a beginner, that's an attractive feature. And it just flies really nice and really long overall. And then here's a transmitter that goes with it. And then back here I have the Dromeda Omnis, which some of you might know. It's from an American brand, so it does cost more. This costs $80. However, with this transmitter that it comes with, I've done a separate video on this and separate reviews on all of these. However, you can set the rates, so the sensitivity, you can set it as low or as high as you want, so that's really nice. And now I forgot to say, but this one's about $30, this one's about $15, $22 I think, and then this one's $30, and then this one is about $25, and this one's $80. So those are different price ranges, and I think maybe the best size, since this is a micro, a nano, and mini, these two are mini, that's the sizes of them. I think the best size would be for you to start with a micro, something like this, the Huiying Toys HY853, because you can fly it indoors, but yeah, you can still fly it outdoors, and it's just such a nice quadcopter. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot to go over trim buttons on the transmitter. So as you can see down here, there's these little buttons, and there's one up here and over here. And that basically means, say if you're flying and it's tilting a little bit to the left and leaning left by itself without you doing that. So if it was leaning to the left, that'd be left input on the stick here. So to counteract that with the trim below it, you'd press right until that goes away. And say if it was leaning backwards by itself, you'd want to press forward up here. And if it was spinning left, you'd want to come over to the yaw stick, and you'd want to click right on there to get rid of that. And another thing I forgot to mention is the head of the quadcopter and orientation. That's the biggest thing that people have trouble with. And let's say, because on this one the green props are the forward, and it doesn't have a symmetrical design, so that's nice so you can see more. But say I spin it, I'm flying it and I push forward on the right stick, so it'll tilt that way and go that way. However, if I spin it this way, forward, whoops, dropped it. Okay. Forward is not still this way because the head of the quadcopter is this end, so now forward on your stick is now over here. And say you turn it again, forward is now towards you. So the orientation is not constant with you, but constant with the head or the front of the quad. And now they did come up with something called headless mode, which is where, and now up here is the front on this one, but it's a little hard since it's symmetrical. But they came up with headless mode, which means you can spin around and it doesn't matter which way it's facing. Forward will always be away from you and back will always be back. So that sounds like an attractive feature. However, in this cheap of quads, it just doesn't work too well. So I'd say don't even factor in headless in your choice of buying one of these. But I'd probably recommend this one the most because it's just so awesome. And I'll leave links to my reviews and purchase links to all these down below to check them out. And now let's see, another thing to consider is flight times, like this one, because it has 3 bladed props and it's a bit heavy with this big shell. Not too great at flight times, but this one, since it's just so light and it's a bigger size with geared props versus direct drive. These ones mount straight to the motor, and these ones are geared, which means the motor has a gear on it that goes to another gear that spins these. These ones usually have a lot more flight time, and just like this Ominous back here, it has good flight times compared to some of the Nanos. These can only hold such a big battery, so it's small compared to the batteries the other ones can hold. And now this is a typical battery, as you can see here. This is for the CX-31. It is a 500 milliamp hour battery, and they end with different connectors. And now this is what's known as the micro low-Z connector, as you can see there. If it'll focus, that's the micro low-Z connector. So that's a fairly standard connector, a little white one there. And that just, on this one, it plugs straight into the quad. However, on this one, there is usually a plug coming out of the board, as you can see here, and you just basically plug it in. So a lot of the batteries are interchangeable, so that's really nice. So once you get more of them, like I have, you can use batteries and sometimes transmitters from other ones to fly the other ones. But yeah, that's pretty much it for learning to fly right away, the basics and understanding terms and stuff. So now I'll do a little flight indoors. I'll probably be using this HY853. And I'll just show you how to practice a little bit of hovering and add a little bit of yaw and pitch into your flight, and just how you can progress through the rates and the sensitivities of different quads. So there we go. Let's go check that out. Okay, here we are for the flight portion of my tutorial on how to fly a quadcopter. And for this part, I'll be using the Huiying Toys HY853. Simply because it's really stable, and I think this might be one of the best ones to learn on because it has low rates. Pretty low rates, and it also can get advanced. So first, what I'd say you're going to want to do is make sure you're in low rates, and most of them start out on low rates. And you're going to want to put it down wherever you're flying and try to be away from things in the middle of the room. And you're going to try to bring the left stick of the throttle up until it can get off the ground, and then gradually move the right stick back and forth. So if it's going to the right like that, just if you need more altitude, you use the left stick, and if it's moving to the right or left, you can go against it with your stick, the right stick, and just try and keep it in hover as close as you can, just using the right stick for right now. So if it's going to the right like that, maybe give some trim. So there we go. If it's going to the right, give some left trim. Now I need some back. And then just use your right stick, and then you can start going, once you've got hovering down, you can just go forward and backwards with your right stick only. Now you're using your left stick. You can see on your left stick, as I go up and down like that, it controls the speed of the motors and the overall height and altitude of it. So just go forward and backwards on your right stick. And then once you can do that, try going left and right. You can see there. I'm sorry if this one's a bit loud. My props are off balance. So try and go left and right. And then try and just move around without spinning it. Just using right stick right now. And left stick to manage height. So if you're going to hit the ceiling, give a little bit less on the left stick. And if you're going down too low, give a little bit more. You just got to be really sensitive. And then once you think you have that mastered, maybe try giving some spin on your right stick so it faces this way, and go forwards. Then spin again and go forwards so it comes towards you. Then spin again and give forwards on the right stick. Now when I'm saying going forwards, that means forwards on the right stick. I need to change my trim. So just do that again. Spin 90 degrees, forwards on the right stick. Spin, forwards, and spin, and try and do a square like that. Then once you mastered that, maybe try and give constant spin and a little bit of constant forwards, as you can see there, and start to do a little circuit. As you can see, it forms into a circle then if you give constant on both directions. And then once you think you can do that, maybe try a figure 8. Going a right turn, and then change directions on both sticks and do a left turn. As you can see here, I'm just giving very small stick inputs. And I'm doing, you see you got to move both sticks and work together to do bank turns. So you can see if I want to do a left banking turn, I'll give some left yaw and maybe a little bit more throttle depending on your quad. Then you also want to give diagonal on that direction. So right yaw and right diagonal will do a nice turn, and left yaw and left diagonal will do a nice turn. And just try and do some figure eights, and once you can do that, maybe try a funnel by just holding the yaw. It's just basically a tight circuit, that's what a funnel is. And then just basically you just gotta keep practicing, and you just have to remember the orientation of the quad. Say, if I push forwards now, forwards is away from me and I pull back. But if I turn left here, I push forwards, it's now to the left because the front of the quad is that way. Now the front is towards me, so I push forwards and it comes towards me. So you kind of have to imagine that you're in the pilot seat and you're always in the front, because once I turn that way, forwards is that way. Like, whoops. Alright, and now if I turn this way, forwards is now to my right. Forwards on the right stick is to my right. So that's the hardest part, is orientation. Trim's a little off, but that's basically just all you have to do, is just try and get your mind into that. Your basic, try and remember, or try and imagine that you're in the front seat of the quad. So just imagine that I'm coming, and now I want to go forwards that way, and I want to turn, and I turn, and I want to go, say, like you're in a plane, you want to go that way, so you go forwards. And then you turn, and then forwards is still this way. So you just have to imagine that you're like inside of it to get orientation down. Once you get that, it's pretty easy. I mean, once you get orientation down and you learn which way is the front, there's not really much you can't do. I mean, then it's pretty much just a limitation of the quad. Or, and the same thing, this tutorial also applies to hexacopters, because they're the same exact thing with just 6 motors. So hopefully this will help if you're trying to learn to fly a hex too. But as you can see, once you get the hang of it, you just have to imagine that you're in the front seat, basically. That's what I do. Alright, let's land it here. And so there we go. That was my tutorial on how to learn to fly a quadcopter, and I hope that helped. And I think this model here, the Huiying Toys HY853, might be a good option because it has 3 different rates, low, medium, high, and it has a decent transmitter, and it's also really cheap. It's $22. And another thing, it comes with a really nice, big, beefy prop guard, so you can hit off the walls and the ceiling if you want, and not really damage anything, and it comes with spare props. So I think this is a good option if you're looking to get one. Now maybe a mini size, which is the bigger ones about this size that I showed earlier, might be better if you're flying outdoors, but indoors is a good setting to learn and hover because there's no wind, so it's never going to be blown around. But yeah, there we go. That was my tutorial, and I hope you liked it. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.